Hold on, I gotta.
Man, I didn't realize we built up such a queue here. All right, let me just delete a couple of episodes and then we should be fine. There we go. All right, let's try this again. Oh, hey guys, welcome to the Upset Podcast. We're so happy that you joined us. We're talking about camp meeting, Rearview, and other things coming up next. Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the Upset Podcast. We're so happy that you are here. And I'm sure you're wondering who's with me this evening. Let's see. We have the fabulous.
Man, we're a skeleton crew today.
Yes, we are.
We're here.
Yes,
but
we are
listen, we're mighty in power. Small in number, mighty in power.
Exactly. And we want to say hello. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for tuning
in. Michelle.
Hey, guys.
And what's up, Mary Wright?
I feel like I know so many of you guys from camp meeting.
Right? That's what I was gonna say. I mean, we weren't here last week because camp meeting was just camp meeting. It was great.
It was.
Really.
What's up, First Lady Brissette?
Oh yeah, what's up?
Lady Tiffany is in the house.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Yeah, a lot's been going on. I mean, it's like, where do we start? We are going to talk about camp meeting a little bit, but of course, we do want to talk about what's happening before we get to the big news of yesterday. How was everybody's weekend going back to church after camp meeting? What was that like for you guys?
So funny. Yeah. Busy, though. Busy. We were ending VBS. Actually, we went back to church Monday. We started VBS.
Oh, wow. Starting strong.
Yeah.
Yes, we're glad to be back. Monte Cristo. Yeah. Glad to be back. Yeah. Yesterday I had a chance to be with our Sharon Church in Baltimore. Liberty Church in Baltimore. That was great. It was my first time being with them. They had their AV Ministry Day. So that was really cool. So
what's up?
Sorry, I missed church pastor, but I was on assignment.
I keep a record. Ministry. I was like, I don't know. I figured camp meeting though, you get a break, right? So for me, it was either way. Even if you were just at home watching online,
I got to pass.
Go back and watch, and
I did. I watched.
I'm messing with you. But it was good to be back. I actually missed our congregation. And we kind of started a new series on transitions. And we're so excited about that. And we're kicking off VBS tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So we're off tomorrow. Looking forward to that Monday through Friday. Yeah.
I'm glad to see VBS making a comeback. It seemed like
it is, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is great. Yeah. So hi, Letha. I think it's Letha or Letha. Yeah, Letha Walker. Hi, Miss Jocelyn. Thank you guys for coming in and saying hello.
Hey, Miss Jocelyn.
We were saying how it was so great to meet so many of you at camp meeting, and some of you shared, I never say anything, like you'll never see me in the chat. I'm watching. And so to all of you, the ones we've had that conversation. Hello, we see you, but we don't see you. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, Will Smith. Thanks for tuning in. And Yvette Hart. Yes. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for being with us. I've missed being live. We just took like 1 week break, but it feels like we've been gone for like weeks.
A lot can happen in a week.
Last week was so crazy. We were beat down ending camp meeting.
Yes, we were. And
all of us worked hard.
we
were the play crew. We were working hard.
It was a week.
For real. We'll dig a little deeper in that. Hey, Miss Hall there, Onisha. It's Onisha, right? Hi, Onisha. Thanks for joining us this evening. So, guys, I was sitting at home yesterday. Well, not sitting at home. Tally, you know what? What are we gonna do with you? It's another Will Smith.
Look, why isn't he here? That's the issue.
Onita. Oh, thank you, Tiffany. She's helped me with that. It's
man. Where's Tally, man? Come on in here, man.
He in here commenting. We want your little box on here.
Let's add your little box right on this phone.
Hi, Nicole. How's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, yesterday I come back from Liberty. I was sitting at home, put on The Chosen, and Andre, my husband, comes downstairs. He was in a Bible study, and he was like, "Oh, they got off the Bible study because they heard that Trump was shot." And I was like, "What?" You know, I'm like watching The Chosen, just enjoying my Sabbath afternoon, and I'm like, "What? This is real." Yes, we're going to talk about that event. We're going to come back to camp meeting in a little bit. And see, I can't concentrate. I'm so happy to see the people in chat. Hey, Migs, we miss you.
Come on, Migs.
We miss you. And I'm just kind of like, and I have to say, I don't know, everybody can give me their initial thoughts when they heard the news. I almost didn't take it seriously. And I felt so horrible that I just thought this was some type of sham. I mean, I felt bad that was my initial instinct, but there's just been so many antics, and this political climate has just been so odd that it's like you can't even take anything at face value anymore. I don't know. What were you guys thinking when you heard the news?
I think I believed it. I was outside in front of my church, and someone called and said that, you know, former President Trump was shot. And we was like, what? And I immediately turned on my MSNBC phone app. And then, you know, we started seeing the story. Some of my people kind of doubted too, like, is that staged? Is that a setup?
Right.
And I saw that blood on the ear. I said, there's no setup, you know, it was. And my heart went out, you know, because even if we disagree with politics, you don't want somebody to die, you know.
Right.
So I was hoping it was not, you know, a Democrat, you know, because then, you know, they trashed that terribly.
Well, you know, they're still finding a way to blame. I mean, I was listening to some of the commentary, and they were saying some of the rhetoric that Biden and his team are using is what's fueling this, because they're putting out that democracy is at stake, and so people are.
No, what about the bloodbath? What about that?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, really? I mean, that's
what's going to happen if you don't vote for me. You know, what about that?
Yeah. You. Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Somebody said I was shocked and confused, immediately curious about possible ways it could be spent in the coming days. I think that was my biggest concern. For me, I think when it first happened, I said, okay, I'm a skeptic by nature. But whether or not, whatever the motive of the shooter, first of all, that was a unacceptable breakdown in security.
Oh yeah,
like almost like there needs to be a real investigation as to how this can happen. 8 years of a Black president, Barack Obama, and there was never any. Come on, and I'm sure there were attempts. So the one time that Donald Trump runs for re-election, they are able to successfully shoot at him is really, really shocking, considering Hillary ran as a woman, a very hated woman, and Barack ran as a Black man for twice.
Right.
In the 8 years, that never happened. So that was an interesting point to me. So this was a clear breakdown in security measures, but I think this is really the point that is really concerning, is that while, in my view, President Trump, or Donald, whatever you want to call him, there was an attack on his life. Greatest danger, in my view, is that he might win.
Oh, he will now.
And I won't say, I'm not ready to say that. I don't think any of us know what the political fallout will be. Like, I don't know. And I'm not a prognosticator, right? Marlena,
let me tell you why I say it. People see that as heroic, I feel so sorry for him,
martyr.
and right. And so a martyr, right? Martyrs normally, have great influence, with people who are viewing. That's why I think that. And I want to have compassion over the whole thing, because some innocent people were injured and one died, and so it's very serious. And I agree with Daphne, President Trump is not an angel. He has said a lot of things that have caused, this kind of an atmosphere, and when you spit out, hatred and negative words, you get that in response, right? And so, like, this young man, 20 years old and a Republican, so what happened there, right? And words have power, and so his words have had power, and thank God that he did not, die. Thank God for that. But people are already looking at this, Corey, as, wow, this is my hero. We want a strong man, someone who's, because he's going off the stage, with his fist and all that. That's courageous, and
which is an absurd act when it comes to
security. That's the thing that made me feel like, come on, this can't be real, because with shots being fired, who is like raising a fist? Was he saying fight or something?
Yeah, he was saying fight. And I think Pastor T is in the chat. He said it's not true. People did listen. In fact, that this report did come out today.
Yeah,
this was confronted before he fired his weapon. So again, this is just multi-layered failure. Of security. Almost next to impossible. For a person, but I will say, Latasha, what's interesting is that conservatives like Trump have done all they can to free people, to limit and to neuter any sort of laws as it pertains to buying guns and as it pertains to buying assault rifles. And it's interesting, this guy was 20 years old, 20 years old, can't buy a beer. Right? He can't buy a beer. He's 21. He's 20 years old, and he has an AR-15, right? That he was able to purchase. And so it is interesting to me that I want to see how conservatives wrestle, number one, with that reality. This young person have been able to carry this gun. And somebody said his father purchased the AR-15. Father purchased it. He has it. He's only 20 years old. Reports do say that he's a registered Republican. So we're getting information on. What I would say, though, is I think there's a danger, and I think there's going to be I think there's something called how can I say it? Perverted unity.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is a moment for perverted unity. It is. I see conservatives say, tone down the rhetoric. I don't think that, first of all, there's no hostile rhetoric in saying Donald Trump is a threat to people's freedom. He's a threat to people's life, health, and well-being. He is a threat to democracy itself. And I don't think that someone attempting to assassinate him should cause anyone to feel nervous or to second guess saying and articulating that fact. That is an objective fact. You can go to Project 25, read up on Project 25, which is the conservative agenda that he will institute if he is president. And so I would warn anyone who is thinking, well, maybe we shouldn't run against him. And maybe, let me be very clear, if you believe in women's reproductive rights, if you believe in health care, if you believe in Medicare, if you believe in Social Security, you need to be clear that if he wins, and even in spite of all of this, it will be lethal and threatening to more people than what he experienced yesterday. And I don't think that we need to be afraid to say that and articulate that.
Yeah. And on the flip side, there's some, even in our faith communities around the world, since we're a world church, who may suggest that his ability to rise out of this situation unscathed and alive is a sign that he's the chosen one or God's man for this time. So there'll also be spiritualization of this moment.
Yeah. I already heard he was like Lazarus, raised from the dead, and they're saying those kind of things. And Corey, the only reason that he can win is still if many become couch potatoes and do not go out to vote. And then we have the highly religious who don't vote and say, whatever's going to happen is God's decision. Well, Jesus doesn't go to the polls, right? He allows things to happen because you set it up. You don't vote, right? If you don't vote, then that's what happens, right? But at least, try to make some concerted effort. And
there is going to be, I think, for a lot of people who are not supporters of it, we're not doing political speech, but who are not supporters of the conservative agenda or the MAGA movement, who are going to deal with a lot of psychological terror over the next weeks or so. You're going to be, and I think a part of the reason why I push back, people say he's going to win, because I think that there is something as a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I do think there is this almost giving over to despair, right? And I think a part of the way that this unfortunate event will be weaponized is to create this sense of inevitability and to create this sense of hopelessness and to create this sense of despair. That if I'm a Black man in Philadelphia or in Detroit or in Milwaukee, I'm going to already assume he is going to win. It's baked. Everybody wants the strong man to win, and therefore I don't need to show up to the polls because it's already done. And I think that is what a lot of times those who are not for us, they bank on. They don't bank on winning our votes. They bank on our resolve, our being resolved to the inevitability of the racist conservative movement winning. And I think that as leaders and as churches, we have to absolutely fight against this idea of inevitability. And giving over to despair. We can't give an inch to it.
Yeah.
And I'm with Miss Onita. We cannot give up now. We cannot. I mean, I don't know if we've ever felt like we lost a freedom in something, but to be oppressed, maybe, I don't know, maybe someone had someone who went to jail innocently, and to feel that type of oppression, we have no idea what that's going to feel like. This man gets the presidency and all of our freedoms are taken away, and the country decides, the government, what you can and cannot do, even down to your religious freedom. I mean, that 2025 is a beast. I don't know if you read parts of it, it's not 50 pages, but read parts of it and see what they're trying to take away. And when I see people, just blindly going in, I'm thinking, you have no idea what's about to happen to you should he win.
Let me ask a question for the audience's sake to Tasha, Marlena, and Corey. What ways can we mobilize our congregations to be more civically engaged in this critical time?
That's great.
I think a part of it is understand. I think it's funny. I had a conversation with a young man in our church yesterday. Bright young man. He works in nonpartisan government, but we were talking about what are some of the things that we can do. We're in Philadelphia, in a battleground state, and really Philadelphia can decide this election. Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia, can decide this election. If Philadelphia hits a certain number of turnout, whoever wins, if Philadelphia reaches a certain level of turnout, that will determine where Pennsylvania goes.
Yeah,
I think Pennsylvania will. Will be a major state when it comes to this election. And a part of that, I think, is a passion I have for Black men. I believe that there is a real targeted information agenda, disinformation campaign targeting Black men. I think that it's real. I think it happens online. I think that there is this idea of strongman politics that is going on. There is this interesting blame the other politics that attracts Black men. Blame Black women for your failures. Blame immigrants for your failures. Blame LGBTQ. They love the Asians. They don't love Black people. And I think that is targeted towards Black men. And I think that what we have to do is really listen to Black men and listen to what are some of the issues that Black men have. What are the perspectives they have, and not talk at them, but talk with them and ask the brothers what they think about what's going on. But I do know that when you look at a lot of the agenda of conservatives, this cycle, it is about not winning Black men, but keeping Black men so disengaged.
Have mercy.
That we can't hit our numbers.
Yeah.
And a part of that is speaking to toxic masculinity. It is speaking to a breakdown, like you blame Black women on welfare, and welfare being the reason why Black men can't get ahead. You get what I'm saying? And you have a boogeyman, and it's a real agenda. And so I think for us, it's really about talking with Black men, creating forums to talk with Black men, and saying, how can we answer your questions without judging your questions? Right? How can we answer your question? You don't have to, there's a culture, and I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna shut up, but there's a culture that on social issues, if you say the wrong thing, you are demeaned, you are called a bigot, you are called a sexist, you are called this, you're almost canceled, right? And so because you're afraid to say the wrong thing, you're afraid to even speak.
Yeah.
And if you don't speak, you go on here,
and
you get on Instagram, and the algorithm will feed you with crap. It is designed to create enemies in your mind that aren't real. And I think that we have to talk with brothers and be real with them and kind of negate the lies that are being taught to Black men on social media.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to go ahead, Tosh.
Go ahead. No, I'll wait.
I would like to also help people to understand this false Christianity that, bringing the 10 Commandments back in the school, maybe, that's a great thing, right? But we have to understand what religious freedom is, right? And so God is not a God of force. Jesus don't want to be forced on people, right? And so you have to help people understand that that's not a good thing. It sounds good, but it's not a good thing, because it's someone's interpretation in their mind of what Christianity should look like. Therefore, they can then go to say, hey, everybody should go to church on Sunday. I heard that several times from government officials. Everyone should go to church on Sundays. And so if you're going on a different day, then persecution is coming your way, because how they perceive Christianity is everyone going to church on Sunday, right? Everybody keeping the 10 Commandments, everybody praying, right? But not allowing people to have freedom to worship God in the way that they know. Now, you have set a standard of Christianity that is created humanly, but not truly from the Word of God. And so us as Christians, we should know the Word and know that's not how Jesus is. Jesus never forces us. And anytime I read this quote, and it came from, I can't remember which book, but it was written by Ellen White. And it stated that when a country loses its ability to love, it enforces laws, right? So you use your laws to get what you want because you have lost your ability to love people.
Mercy. And I was going to add to that, in addition to having those discussions, as we were talking about, and creating an environment where we can talk about what's happening in our communities, what we can do about it, something as practical as making sure people are registered to vote, because people are fired up and they understand, but when it comes time to go and play, so they're not even in a position where they can cast their vote. And that is also, as someone mentioned, a tactic. Sure, you can talk about it as long as you're not registered to vote. You're not even a concern of ours. So I think one of the things our churches can do is continue to make sure we're educating our members on what they need to do to vote. Some of our churches have set up stations where they help people sign up to be registered to vote for when it comes, and then like creating some excitement around exercising this right, because what happens is sometimes people go home, they watch the news, they get discouraged, and they don't do anything. They say this doesn't matter. But if our churches are just encouraging it, reminding it, putting it before the people, of course, we know we're not endorsing candidates, we're not endorsing parties, but we are encouraging people to stay educated, stay motivated, and stay mobilized. I think that's something definitely our churches could do.
Yeah, and some of our churches could be polling places too.
Right. I think Germantown's a polling place, right?
It is. Germantown is a polling place. And I just say, like, lean into community. Like, we don't know what will happen in 2024. We don't meet in November. There's going to be so many ups and downs. Like, this is July. We haven't even gotten to.
We got a lot of.
Even know who's going to be the candidate for the Democratic Party, right? So there's going to be so much happening. You're going to be bombarded with so much information, so much news, so many waves. And I would say to somebody, and I'm really passionate about this, Latasha, lean into your faith and lean into community.
Yeah.
You believe that this news can cause a lot of anxiety, right? I know people are legitimately afraid right now because they believe, number one, about political retribution. They are concerned about political retribution. They are concerned about the inevitability of Trump winning, and what that could mean. And so I would say lean into your faith, lean in, like, engage in listen, you can't take in this kind of news. Can I just give a plug? I'm sorry.
Give your plug.
And I think I speak for GP and Marlena when I say this. You can't take in this kind of news Sunday through Friday and not engage in worship on Sabbath. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is not right for you to just continue to take in this information, in all this news, and then hold it in and never find a space to filter what you're taking in through the word of God, through worship. Like, I think that stuff matters. And I think that those disciplines matter even more. Find a church, go to the church, worship at the church, hear the word of God, engage in community. Right. Get online, spend time.
Refresh.
Restore. I gotta just say that because, like, get off of Facebook, man, and get off MSNBC. Yes, be informed, but also then let Jesus speak. Right? and I really do mean that, because you're gonna deal with so much psychological warfare.
Over
the next few months, and in the next year. And in the next years to come. And you need to filter that stuff through the word of God. There is something powerful about community. There's something powerful about worship. And I'm really passionate about that. You can't go through this next few months alone. You will lose your mind. You will lose your mind.
But what do we say to people, though, who, they go to church, they're worshiping as almost a distraction, if you will, from what's happening, to the point where it's in God's hands. All I can do, I know the world's coming to an end. I know that, these prophesied that these things will happen, because that's the mentality there.
Yeah.
What's the point of voting? God's gonna, how do we counteract that thought process where people are just engaged in worship, but not in voting or not in, learning? What do we do?
I use the analogy, Tosh. I said, well, you're going to die too, but when you get sick, do you go to the doctor? Right? Do you, or do you not go to the doctor? I said, well, I'm going to die someday, so I'll just let it be. You got to take care of the country. And listen, when we vote rightly, God expects us to take care of the marginalized and the people who can't speak for themselves. And so you don't vote just for your own selfishness, right? No. You have to vote what's right for people. When people are being ostracized and rights taken away and services taken away. And you don't have to believe like other people, but we have to be human. And if you lose humanity, we're no good. Right? You can't lose humanity.
Right.
You lose humanity, you lose grace.
Yeah. I think as a form of, when people have that mindset of, I'm just going to focus on getting my blessing and not engage in the community, that's consumeristic. You're just concerned with what you can get and not what you can give to others who are hurting or hoping in the community. Because think about it, there are people whose lifespan is determined by their zip code. So it's not just the national election, but your local elections. Like, we need to be
Yeah, mention that.
Yeah.
We need to participate in those censuses because we need to be engaged, period.
Absolutely.
Even sometimes, even sometimes our apocalyptic literature, right, can in our prophetic literature can kind of create this inevitability of the future, right? But even we understand that there are prophecies, and I'm not going to get in trouble, but there are prophecies that are conditional. There are prophecies that are not necessarily inevitable, that we can hold off certain judgments, and that we can hold off certain prophetic events, right? And so you don't, like you said, you don't say, I'm going to die one day, so I'm going to die today. No, not today. You know what I'm saying? And I think the same thing is true when it comes to the trampling upon rights and the trampling upon freedoms. America will not just at some point begin to trample upon freedoms. America has been trampling upon freedoms since its inception, right?
That's beast activity, bro. Beast-like activity.
We have to, even as Black Adventists, reject the Eurocentric lens that reads Revelation as, at some point in the future, when white Adventists are being persecuted for their day-to-day worship, that's when America will start acting as a beast. And it's like, no, America was a beast when it stole Black people from the shores of West.
Beast mode.
It has
when
never
being lynched, it was a beast, right?
There was lynching. There was human remains in a grave in Tulsa this week of a man who served in the United States Armed Forces this week.
Wow.
So it's always been evil. It has always been a beast since its inception. And so I think that what we have to understand is that, but however, at the same time, we've always fought.
Yeah.
We've always we always fought, and I think we have to continue to fight and not give ourselves over to despair.
Oh, I have to read this guy, and we are going to talk about camp meeting. I saw somebody we're going to talk about camp meeting, but I've seen Doug Batchelor's name come in the comments a couple of times, but he's having a special meeting.
Say that, Edward. Where was the conversation with George Floyd?
Specifically about this? I just don't even know how we justify certain things in our church, but that's
Mark Finley did the same thing. He had the conversation when Trump was charged with 34 counts. Found guilty. There was a conversation to help the church work through that.
I expect 3ABN to have a special on this issue. I expect it.
Listen, you can't. Let me just say this. This is because it's the Upset podcast.
You
can't be critical of someone when you're using their Bible studies all the time. Put on in their pockets. Okay?
Corey.
So I don't want to hear about Doug Batchelor when we keep buying his amazing facts.
Come on.
That's true. That is true too.
Okay, so let me be very clear. Everybody is not for you. Everybody is not for your people. And so we need to understand that if it walks like a duck, it is a duck. And so if Doug Batchelor shows you that he's a duck, and we need to treat him like he's a duck. And let me be very clear. Message Magazine has Bible studies that you can use.
Wonderful.
There are useful Bible studies, and ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a useful tool. Go into ChatGPT, type in Adventist Bible studies for Black Americans, and you'll be able to create your own ones. But Doug Batchelor,
you use Message Magazine's lessons too, right?
Your own. But Doug Batchelor is not for us. He has shown that consistently, and so we need to just call it what it is and move on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying. You're
just an upsetter.
No, man, because he's showing us consistently.
What else do we need? What else do we need to see? Yeah. He said we need to stop. We need to stop.
They're not like us.
They're not like us.
See.
It's two different Adventist churches, that's for sure.
Ben said, in case anyone else wants to write a letter, his name is we got your back.
Listen, I'm trying to save people money, man. I'm serious.
It's cheaper.
Wait, I'm not joking. Message Magazine has Bible studies. Like
they do. Nice Bible studies.
They have good Bible studies.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to quack with the quacks. We can use our own Bible studies by Message Magazine. And
Dr. Peeler from Capital
Brilliant.
got really good Bible
Faith Bible
studies.
Facts. Yep.
Very nice.
That's true. Oh, look at Tally trying to be fair. Okay, let's see. In all fairness, the attempted assassination of a former president is not to be compared with an act of police brutality. But that being said, we should not expect conservative Adventism to be sensitive to our unique experience.
That's right.
So true.
I expect them not to care.
And I know we talked a little bit about Project 2025, and we will be talking about that in a future podcast. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate the dialogue and the comments today. You guys are on fire here. I'm loving it.
It's on fire today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're sharing a lot, and we appreciate it. As you guys know, our topic was supposed to be in Rearview.
That's why we can end on a happy note, right?
Natasha started off with the attempted assassination of one of these.
Let's get that out of the way. Like you said, we can end on something.
And look, I want to make sure that people understand we have compassion. We don't want anything to happen to him or to anyone. We are very loving, but we just want people to understand that, you still fight for your rights. Don't give up, and don't let people try to, tell you how to feel and make you feel guilty because you want to stand for your rights.
And it's a distraction. Like the thing that I think was most violent. Number one, political violence is never the answer. Violence only creates more violence, right? Yep. And I think that's a real concern. And I think that's a real concern that violence creates more violence. So it's such a distraction, because these are real serious issues that are at play in this election, life and death issues that are at play. And so inviting this distraction that's not on the issues, it's not about freedom, it's not about women's rights, it's not about women's health, it's not about education, it's not about funding for communities and neighborhoods. All of that is on the ballot, and this distraction will take us away from being able to focus on the issues that actually are. I think that's one of the tragedies of what happened yesterday.
Yeah, and seeing that Biden has since taken down some of his campaign ads, it's like the things that people need to know in terms of what's happening are now we're put in the situation where we're not even sharing because we feel like we're being insensitive, So it's tough.
No good answers.
Right.
No good answers.
Oh wow. As Mike Williams, the message you're giving is probably more beneficial than what was said in a lot of churches yesterday. Well.
To be fair, it happened after church. So I think if you were still in church on the East Coast, you had long church yesterday.
That's true.
You were still in church.
You were still in worship. What happened?
No, not morning worship. So we had youth worship, and then we had something else going on. We always
11 o'clock.
No, this was after 6.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It happened after 6 p.m.
Yeah. Wow. But anyway, thank you guys for engaging us on some of the breaking news. There
was another headline. I know we're not going to talk about it, but there were several HBCU presidents who stepped down recently, and it created a conversation about the future of HBCUs and the board of trustees. It's a whole conversation we don't have time for today.
But we can pick it up, though. That's important conversation.
Yeah, FAMU, Morehouse.
Wow.
There's a lot of openings.
Wow. Tasha, we're going to talk about our own shooting episode.
Uh-oh.
But it is on the minds of people,
Well, I mean, I guess I don't think it's a good transition, but it is a transition.
Only because it was on SDA.
Only because it was the same weapon, AR-15.
Yes, I got us laughing about these things. But no, honestly, but no, we can. I mean, we put out a press release regarding what happened at camp meeting. One of the things we wanted to stress about that. I mean, even though people were still on campus, it was at the end of campus. I mean, at the end of camp meeting, it did not happen on the grounds. And it was an isolated incident. The shooter was not shooting at anyone, just firing shots into the wood line. So, based on what we know, there was no intent to harm anyone. And even though, I mean, I get it. If you were there and,
I heard those gunshots.
Some people say they were there, I mean, that's scary. That's unsettling. But
and also the news says people were running for shelter and running behind trees.
Yeah, I thought that was a little. I mean, I
was
there on that. I wasn't on that.
I was there.
I wasn't on that side, but I don't know if that's really what happened. Sometimes, I mean, I know some people were running. I don't know if it was hundreds.
Yeah.
People.
They told us to run. They said, "Get out."
They said, "Get out."
Like, is it a storm?
Where were you?
You gotta go.
We were under the youth tent.
Oh, you were in the youth tent.
We heard it and we said, those weren't fireworks. And then we got the call on that to go, and we got the call to go and find shelter. And I will say, I want to just thank our security team for just making sure the messages went out well. It was good not to have pastors on security.
Yeah, I mean that's
whoever decided.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We understand what climate we're living in right now. And I mean, no offense, we appreciate the years that our pastors have manned the security and the efficiency of it. But we're at that stage now where professional security personnel, officers, people who are specifically trained for all kinds of scenarios are in place. And that was definitely something that the conference prioritized this year and will continue to prioritize. And we saw the results of having that in place. And so we were grateful that, like you said, the messaging got out, people were able to shelter in place. And very quickly, we got the word that the suspect had been apprehended by the authorities. And that's where it was in their hands. I know people have a lot of questions. I mean, of course, we get curious, especially when it's close to home. But there's so much that, obviously it's under investigation that we can't comment on, but we can say no one was injured. One of the things I thought about when I heard it was like, wow, the devil must be really mad because this camp meeting was a good camp meeting. Transformational on so many levels. And I refuse to let this overshadow, all that we witnessed. All that we experienced for those 10 days at camp meeting. And so I was a little sorry that it had to kind of have that tail end. But the good thing about it is hearing the testimonies, even after talking to people who were there, it lets me know that, God still did his thing. And that's what matters most.
And the blessing, no one was hurt, thank God. And
yes, we're very excited about that. So, guys, I mean, as we mentioned early on, I mean, all of you guys we're working hard during camp meeting. I mean, we were enjoying it, but that's the thing. I could just, because we had this conversation, the four of us. All four of us are these diehard camp meeting fans. Like we love camp meeting. Like we enjoy it. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Oh my
God. Right?
I love camp meeting, okay?
I do too, Corey. I do too, buddy. I love it.
Nothing like it.
Even Sister Tiffany, I like the heat too. It's hot. It's hot.
Yeah, it was worth it. I mean, I was hot. I had my little fan. Thank you to youth department. I got my ACU.
Shout out to Dr. Ramon Griffiths for the fans. Want to hear ACU?
Yes. Ordination in particular was really high. I don't know what was going on.
It was
I didn't know it to be like that.
It was near sunset and it was so high. I looked like I was in the shower the whole time.
I was like, Holy Spirit is in this place, mercy. But yeah, I know there's always that discussion, especially when temperatures like that, about having an enclosed pavilion. We'll see. But guys, what were some of the highlights for you guys that maybe everybody else didn't see, but you personally experienced? Go ahead.
Say that again. Question again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is some highlights or something that happened during the camp meeting experience that may not have been like publicized, but you saw it from just being on the grounds, being there and experiencing it?
I want to shout out, and this happened a lot during the week, the VBS that took place on campus.
Oh,
like that. Honestly, I really do want to shout out our youth director, Dr. Ramon Griffith.
Yeah.
His associate youth director, Deshaun Gray.
Yeah.
They planned a phenomenal camp experience. And I think like it was like I almost felt like this is almost too good to be true, because my daughter stayed with me a few days, and every morning dropped them off at VBS. They stayed there till lunch, ate lunch, take them back for an afternoon session. And she one day talks about, we learned about forgiveness of sin.
Oh, that is great.
All about.
And the sins that we need forgiveness for, and hers was what was it? She said getting angry. Like she was like bad words. I said, what bad words do you say? I don't want to do this. And I was like, okay.
That's so sweet and innocent.
They taught her, like, people who teach our children about the love of God.
Yep.
And Jesus are just
special.
And so that experience, that VBS experience, a lot of people didn't see it because they weren't there during the week.
Right.
But man, it was phenomenal.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. A lot of people didn't get to see it. And I know, like, even we wanted to show more of that. But one of the things we have to realize also in these days and times is that we can't always show children, there are waivers and there's things that people sign. And unfortunately, we weren't able to showcase that the way that we wanted to. But I saw some of the interaction there, and the kids were loving it. They were so excited about holding up their little projects every day and engaging with their little friends. And it was amazing.
My 3-year-old daughter was engaged, and she enjoyed every day that she attended. She made friends, learned lessons, had crafts, played outside with new friends. She keeps asking to go back to this day.
Oh,
I told her we'll go back one day. So I want to give a huge shout out to not just the youth director, associate youth director, but all the workers.
Task force, Orient, all of them.
They held it down. Dealing with children is not easy, but they did it well, and they made it look easy.
Yes, they did. Now, I see a lot of people in the comments talking about these powerful messages that were delivered. Because when we were talking about pre-camp meeting, you guys hadn't spoken yet. I think it was coming up. And it was definitely fire. And some people saying they were hearing you for the first time, Marlena. So they were tuning in and hearing you. And
Holy Spirit, guys, let me tell you, I worked at, of course, I'm mostly always assigned at the pavilion, and I love the messages. This year, Jesus just, he blew his mind, right? It was just so awesome. I felt like running around the pavilion so many nights, so many mornings. Corey, when the word is so, you're like,
it's nothing like it. As a preacher, there is something so, and I think people don't understand this. We are preaching so often, right? We preach every week almost. That to be able to just sit for a week and just hear the word of God, just be like innocent bystand, like Marlene, I will never forget that sermon. I will never forget that message. I'll never forget that take on it. There was just something on you. And that was one of just the most impactful sermons I've heard.
Praise God. You two sitting in the window.
Please, y'all, go on YouTube. They're all on YouTube, I believe, right?
Yeah, they're all on YouTube. And I'm glad you're saying that, because I got a message this week. Someone was asking if they could purchase 2 CDs of the sermon, and I was like, wow, it's been so long since we've sold CDs. So
not even DVD, CD. Come on.
They
want to hear it in the car while they're riding down the road.
So I was so happy to let her know. Here is a link to all the sermons. There's a playlist there for you to be able to go back. If you missed any message you can go back and hear it at time and time again. I know Carrie Williams was gonna say that. I know she used to help produce them. She had that thing going.
Natasha, though, can we do like maybe, I don't know, I don't want to give a lot of work to our, first of all, can we shout out our whole communications and the AV ministry?
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely want to shout out.
Morning, noon, and night. Like, y'all made it work. But like, I feel like there's a lot of old camp meeting messages that are on DVD and CD, or on DVD for sure, or VHS. I'm sure the people would love to hear on YouTube, and maybe a throwback Thursday of.
Yeah, we need to do that. We did that one year when we didn't have camp meeting. I think it was a throwback camp meeting. I forgot what was happening that year, but we decided
it was 2020.
Was it 2020 when we did that? I feel like it was before the pandemic, because we did do an online camp meeting, but I think it was maybe a GC year or something, and we wanted to have. I'm not sure. I forgot, but that was one of our. I mean, we brought back some of those good old sermons from back in the day, and people were loving that. So you're right. I think we need to pull out more of those classic sermons and start showcasing them.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes, Tiffany. Yes. Let's shout out hubby Orville. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I just feel like everybody understood the assignment, because
from the beginning to the end.
You know, that theme to be like Jesus.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I have to say, initially when Dr. Robinson brought that theme, you know, it was a continuation. Last year was Now is the Time. And so this year was Now is the Time to be like Jesus. And, you know, trying to develop that and thinking of the verbs that could go along with what it means to be, and just seeing how every person took that. I mean, I was just amazed. It's one thing to have a concept, but to see how everyone just grabbed onto it and just brought it to life. I mean, I was just so I don't know. I was just so proud of everybody. I don't know. I'm just like, yes, you did it. You did it. That's what it's all about. I think the theme really, really. I know sometimes you guys say it can kind of pigeonhole you because you got to stick within a certain. But I felt like you guys were very creative in how you took whatever your verb was and made it like that. Like you were saying, Marlene, with the window. I feel like I'll never look at a window the same.
But I gotta say, it was a powerful camp media experience. And I'm not even like, I'm not a cheerleader and just hype man. It was an enriching camp media experience. And I
felt extremely revived at the end.
I did. I really did.
Come on, Satan.
And I was under the youth tent on both weekends. And the youth tent,
my Lord.
At the tent stood, right? Like, first weekend, first of all, and I keep hyping up our youth director because I think he's just gifted and brilliant. And I think he's just really dedicated. But Ramon led worship and phenomenal. The band was amazing. Dr. Abdel George preached.
Where are those messages, Tosh? I can't get them.
So yeah, those were recorded. They weren't streamed, but they were recorded. And so hopefully this week they will be uploaded. Okay. Yeah, because we get that question a lot. And
well, yeah, everybody was asking.
We're waiting.
Promise.
And then second weekend, Dr. Myron Evans, I can't even describe what happened.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I heard it was awesome.
It was awesome. And then Kiki was
my Lord.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think there's a place, and we talked, and I'll be here like honest, we talked with her. We knew what she had planned to do. There's a lot that goes on to bringing in artists, and I think people just give a little bit under the hood a little bit. There's artists say, "Hey, I can come for this amount of time, and I can do X, Y, or Z." I want to be very clear. Kiki ministered to our young people, and off the script, she really had a heart and a passion for our kids.
Oh, that's great.
She showed up in how she didn't perform; she ministered. There is a difference.
Yep.
There was no.
Ellie's gonna get a spanking. Okay.
She ministered to our kids, man. Like it was the Holy Ghost. I can't even describe what.
Definitely. And you know what I want to say, Corey, and I think Sister Ebony has been talking about the experience that the young people had, and just enjoying themselves and jumping up and enjoying the music, and even the preach word. And I want to say this. Once you youth leaders, stay strong. And I got to take my glasses off. We demonize so many things.
Get me started.
Show me the scripture in the Bible that says you can't jump up and enjoy yourself when you're hearing music. Now, if the Eagles were there, y'all would be screaming and hollering and all that. And I can't scream for Jesus. What?
What is joy supposed to look like?
All y'all older people, listen to me. Y'all stay with me at the pavilion. Don't go over there. Don't go. Because you can't go over there and tell them how to worship. They're having a bad time. And listen, you should be happy that your children were in church. And they'll never forget that experience. They were just enjoying themselves. And so y'all just stay over there at the pavilion with us. You ain't gonna see nobody.
I was so this past week, we have photographers sending us pictures and different things, and I was so hyper focused on trying to get things up online so people could relive the experience and have an experience. I wasn't even really paying attention to comments until someone messaged me. All right. And so I'm like, oh, let me go, let me check the comments. Don't want to make sure anything crazy is out there. And oh my goodness, I just started. It takes a lot to get me upset. Let me tell you guys, it takes a lot to get me upset. But I was just so upset at some of the comments I was reading. I went into this delete frenzy, and I have no qualms about deleting things. And I probably missed some. So if you see some quote that is inappropriate, now let's get this straight. We understand that we differ in how we feel about things and our belief systems, and but in no way will I allow Allegheny East Conference, Facebook or Instagram to be a vehicle for people to demonize people who are worshiping God, or to tell people that what they're doing is of the devil. And I mean, I just couldn't understand. Nothing about it was in love. You see what I'm saying? Now,
no.
If there was some,
judgment.
God, however, if there was love and correction or something, if you felt correction was needed, that's one thing. But some of the hateful comments that I was reading in the chat, I just want to, and I said this yesterday when I was at Liberty, I just want us to think about if someone didn't know anything about God or Christianity or Adventist, and they stumbled on our page and they read your comments, do you think they would be intrigued to find out what we're all about?
And let me be real here. Can I just say something, Tasha? And these are not the thoughts of the Allegheny East Conference, although I do work for the conference, so maybe these are the conference's thoughts. I do think that there is so intentionality in a lot of those pages. First of all, let me just say, put your name and your face to what you have to say, but don't hide behind these Advent message and all of this stuff. Right. Don't be a coward. Say what you got to say. And own it, right? Don't hide behind these shielded profiles. Number one, that's cowardly. Number two, I noticed there's something about Black women that pages detest. I'm being very clear. It's so funny. We had Tim Bowman the week before. There was no post. There was no sharing. When Kirk Franklin comes somewhere, when Marvin Sapp is somewhere, when other Black men are somewhere, but it's something about Black women. These pages they call them abominations. I noticed it. There Jezebel. Jezebel. There was a deep sexist misogynoir that is taking place with those specific attacks. They were as Black women, and I think these people are cowards. We can't give them an inch. And I said, don't take our pictures and use our pictures for your agenda. That's just wrong. That's just wrong, man. But and we have to ask ourselves, what is it that creates this type of spirit? What is it that creates this type of calling people an abomination?
Like really?
You're not okay. I'm sorry. That's not okay.
I mean,
I just let people, first of all, is you don't have a right to tell people how to worship, right? We have learned. Now listen, guys, we learned from Europeans of what worship is, right?
Morning here.
that doesn't mean that that's correct, right? I mean, they tell you how to worship, and that's why we have to keep quiet and sit still. And if you say amen, it's too loud, or you sit there and say nothing, and that's holy worship. If that's how you want to worship, that's fine. But if I want to jump, because I know after that good word at the pavilion, I'm telling you, I felt like running. It was so good, and I enjoyed Jesus, right? Don't tell me how I should worship, right? And so leave the kids alone. We stifle them so much, and that's why they leave, because they can't do anything.
And I'll say this, I think, and I think this is where my heart is. Many of you know that I am family with people of other faith groups, and I think sometimes Adventists don't understand the weight of our words because of our own internalized and insecurity. And so because we think that we're so insecure and so small of a denomination that what we say doesn't hurt these big evil denominations, it's like, no, your words do hurt. And I'm sorry, it does hurt to call somebody an abomination. It does hurt to use that kind of language. It is not just, it's not dismissed, it's hurtful. And it gives off this, and I got to be real, it gives off this idea that it's almost this internalized insecurity and lack of self-worth, where I can say whatever I want to say because it doesn't have any weight and it doesn't hold any meaning, and because I don't matter. But your words actually do matter. These are real people. They're not just a brand. They're not just I'm trying to watch my language, but they're not just I'm gonna say it, they're not just a Sunday worshiper. That's not their identity.
Right.
Your words carry weight. Your words matter. Be responsible with what you say, because it does hurt.
And Corey, is that Jesus? Is that Jesus?
Not like Jesus, right?
Is that Jesus?
It is not like Jesus,
It's
man.
loving.
Carry weight.
Yeah.
Words carry weight.
I just never got the point, because some of the things that people were saying, I mean, they were saying things about the artists, they were saying things about people in the audience who were reacting to the audience, and I'm thinking to myself, do you really think the point of your hateful comment is what? Do you think that those people are going to read the comment and say, oh wow, they're right? You know what I mean? Like,
you're right, and I want to be a 7.
Yeah, you're right. That was evil. That was demonic of me. I just don't get the point of doing that. And I try not to get myself, because that this is going to happen. This was not a surprise. I do have to say I was surprised by the amount of people that were saying things. And I know
a lot of these people are not in our conference.
They're not. A lot, listen, it's worldwide. It's international. You're getting comments from more conservative.
Half of them are from Jamaica, anyways. I'm just playing.
Stop it. But anyway,
they're not in our conference, and I'm gonna.
Yeah. So, but some of them are, and I want them to know we see you, and that's not what we're about.
That's cool, man.
We're about
and honestly, and Marlena, you're so right. Like with this generation, man, like I said, like these kids are dealing with so much.
Yeah.
And they were not hanging out outside of the tent. They were under the tent for worship.
Thank you.
During the service and during the concert. And I like, that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal, man.
Yeah. And then we say, where are our young people? And when they come, we have everything to say about every single thing that they do. And then we're like, why did they leave? Excuse me. Do you not see the connection? But I do like how Will summarized. He said, moral can't mean experience, love God, love people, be like Jesus. It's basic. That's going along with our.
I'll just say this. So I realized that our young people worship with a level of energy and passion that even if I can't rock with or emulate what they do, I am in no place to speak.
That's what I'm saying.
Just support them.
Like you want to
work. Hey, this is not my vibe.
It's diversity
there. That's it.
Diversity.
Exactly.
It's all right. I don't know why we feel like if we don't like it, then everybody else who likes it is wrong. Like
we have to demonize what's different.
Yeah,
from what we like.
It's okay to say there's something that's not for me.
Exactly.
All right, here's the question. Can I respond to this question in a real practical way? I promise I won't get you in trouble, Latasha.
Oh, no.
But there's a question in the chat. It says, why do we have SDA? Why? Here's my question. Why do we have other artists? I guess, why do we have other artists come to our camp meetings? I'm guessing that's the question.
Yeah, because that's something we have before. Yeah.
I think it's the same reason why sometimes, so I'll put it this way. My wife is a phenomenal cook. My wife is a great cook. She loves to cook so much that she cooks all the time. And I she has a full-time job. She's a director at her job, but she just loves to cook. I used to feel bad, like I need to be helping out with cooking. And she was like, no, you make eggs for breakfast, but I'm right. She loves to cook. Every once in a while, because she cooks so much, she likes to go to a restaurant and have somebody else serve her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is the reason why we do invite gospel artists to come, because a part of camp meeting is not for those who lead worship, for those who preach, for those who pastor. We are pouring out cooking so much that each weekend we want to invite someone to come in and serve our people. Like our praise team was able to sit and just enjoy worship. They had been leading worship the weekend before and that morning in 95-degree weather, right? And so it is also an opportunity to serve the musicians and to serve the singers and to minister to them and to minister to us. And so that's why our praise team sings every week. They sing 6 songs every Sabbath. Natasha, you know it. They sing a lot. Same thing at Willow Grove. Same thing at your church, GP. Our people are serving. And so we've decided that at camp meeting, we want to bring in some of the most gifted ministers. And they are gifted ministers who come in and provide a dining experience for those who cook at home every day. Mm-hmm. That's why we invite people.
So I'm saying a couple of things. I kind of wanted, let's just have this discussion real quick, because there are those who say, hey, we hear what you're saying, Corey, but how can we support our SDA artists more? And I know we do. I was going to say in the pavilion, I know one of the things Mallory is very committed to is making sure he's showcasing new talent within our church in the pavilion. And I know, we had some artists even at the young adult tent. So I think that we do a mixture of both.
During the week, Tosh.
Yeah.
They were compensated. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, but I hear what Gloria is saying too, but she's saying, however, it does our church no good to invite someone when after they come, our membership does everything in their power to make them feel, bad about what they've done. They just come and poured out their heart. They've ministered to us. I mean, I'm sure that they're used to comments, not just from Adventists, but from, what do we do with that? Are we not ready? Are we still not ready to receive artists that are not Adventists at our camp meetings or in our point?
Not ready. There have been gospel artists that have been singing and ministering at Adventist conventions and evangelistic meetings
decades
since the 1950s.
And it's one concert.
What are we doing? It is ahistorical. Let me just be very clear. When you look at especially Black Adventist history, it is ahistorical to act like having gospel artists sing at our have gospel artists sing at our events. To have gospel artists sing at our events as a new phenomenon. It is not a new phenomenon. And I think we have to be clear about that. And I think there are questions people ask,
They said it's a type.
Should we give our platform when they speak in tongues? I do think that tongues that we're going to have a conversation about.
That's right? Coming up.
There is a question about what is appropriate, what is inappropriate, what is our practice, what is our culture, and there's a conversation about that. But I do think that we have to be very clear that we take isolated incidents and we turn them into an entire narrative. So when it comes to compensation, the compensation of an artist is based on the demand of the artist. That is true across the board, right? That is true in any context. Even within the Adventist church, there are different demands for compensation. Whether it is preachers or singers, there are different demands of compensation based on the demand of the person. And so I was going to be very clear about that. And I don't think that I don't think that we have to feel bad for these artists. They are coming. They are being well compensated for what they do. But the blessing is ours. Like our kids were blessed, man. Like my daughter saw Kiki and was like, she listens to her music all the time, and she was like, I didn't know you were real. Like that's currency. So they are blessed, but we are blessed as well. But this is not a new phenomenon. Having gospel artists and even this language is so isolating. Like even the conversation itself is
it feels weird to have it, right?
Weird, right? In my view, but yeah.
But it's interesting to me though, because some people will they'll go to her concert or and they'll listen to the music.
We bringing it to you for free.
When you bring it to our, it's like almost like no, you're crossing the line there. It's like what?
And GP, let's be real here. The Aeolians are not hurting for invitations. The Aeolians
they turn them down.
We had them at Germantown, right?
Yeah.
We see Steve Manders and what's name is Decree. Phenomenal, right? Like there are phenomenal artists, and we do need to lift them up. But I think I do think that
Lisa, I'm with her.
Yeah, and I think a part of it is like let's not be disingenuous with what we want. It's just about Adventist artists. A lot of people have an issue with the type of music. Let's keep it 100.
Yeah.
Let's keep it 100. Let's not shield as if it were just an Adventist artist, you'll be okay with it. Some people don't like gospel music. Some people don't like contemporary music. And so let's not be disingenuous in some of what we're calling. Bring back the blend rights. I agree. Like, hey, we love it all.
Years back.
But also, Dr. Corey, isn't camp meeting a high time?
It is.
A high?
It's revival.
We bring in special things, right?
Yes.
This is a high time of celebration. I don't know how we got here to where we just listen to our music and our preachers, and because you're actually saying that no one else is holy except us. Where do we get that?
Yeah, it's and honestly, like it is a time for revival and refreshing. And I think it is for the people, but I think it's also for the people, and it's also just for the ministers as well. And I think, I told you all, I preach almost every week. I enjoyed sitting and listening to Marlena just wear out the word of God, and Novella and Orville and Dwayne Frazier
and Dr. Corey,
Keenan, Tyler,
Paul Smith.
Paul Smith. I mean, Moses. Like it was. So it's just about the enjoyment of being able to be fed as much as you feed, and that's the thought process behind it.
Yeah.
So I want to give a shout out also to the social event on July 4th outside. Phenomenal time. I mean, games, activities, cotton candy, watermelon, giveaways, musical chairs. I think Tasha was out there playing musical chairs as well.
Yeah, we were all out there. I didn't see you, Marlena, but I think I
was there for a little bit.
You were there? Okay.
I was there for a little bit. First, I got a little liter ice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got our water ice. It was great. It was fun, and it was people. Some people were just lounging under the shade, but they were fine, just watching people have a good time. Families come together, and I will shout out. Someone found someone in the grocery store. She was in the grocery store, Walmart. I guess it was Walmart. I don't know. And she saw a family, and she just invited them. This is Deborah Robinson. She invited them to come to the Friends and Family Fun Day. So I met her. She was in line in front of me in the musical chairs. And when it was done, she said to me, she's like, you know what? I really enjoyed myself here. My family really had a great time here. And I said to myself, this is what camp meetings is about. We're talking about what we like, what we want. And here was a visitor coming from just a local area, coming into the experience and feeling like she was welcomed and that there was something there for her. And I was like, I wish we could create that environment in other spaces outside of Friends and Family Fun Day. But
I think we underestimate the value of owning the type of space that we have as a conference. Like people come up to our space and their mind is blown. Like this is Black owned. Like this is a retreat center. This is amazing. And so let's be appreciative of our campgrounds and support our dear camp meeting.
Our dear camp meeting. One more thing, because I saw that Yeah, is it Yaya Drew? I don't know how to read the name, but there was a comment just to wrap up this conversation about inviting different artists. And she was saying that her concern is not necessarily with bringing them in, but when they start to preach their particular denominational beliefs that may be different than what we believe. And sometimes, you have those conversations with artists prior to, but when they're in the spirit or something hits them, that they kind of go on autopilot, I'm just assuming, and they're saying it and maybe doing some of the things that they're used to doing when they express themselves in their context. So how are we able to compartmentalize that or process that? Can we say, I understand that is there? Do we have the ability to understand that this is where they are and receive it, or is that detrimental to others who may be influenced by what they're sharing? Is that a fear, a real fear?
I understand the concern. I think the concern is true for preaching, for teaching. Like, I think the church is clear that nothing should be preached from our pulpit as truth that is not aligned with our beliefs. And I think that's okay. I think that's actually appropriate. And I think there can be a vetting and a conversation for what will work in what context. And so I'm going to be very clear. I don't know if this is a straw man, but there are no doctrinal differences that were preached or shared by any artist who came to Allegheny East Campus.
I think they're talking about this.
And that's true across the board. I think sometimes Adventists act like we're the only denomination and everybody else believes the same thing. You would be surprised that there are other denominations who have different doctrinal understandings and teachings on tongues. So Adventist is the only one who got an issue with tongues, right? And then the other question becomes, what is the official Adventist doctrine of tongues?
Right.
They're not mentioned in our 28 fundamental beliefs. Now, that's a little preview to an upcoming upsetting podcast. So when you speak, make sure you know what you're talking about. We don't have a voted fundamental belief on tongues. And Adventists are not cessationists because we still believe in the prophetic gift, which is the gift of the miraculous, in which tongues is grouped together. So let's just be clear that we know what we're talking about when we want to have these conversations. But what I would say is, I think there's a way to have that conversation. There's a way to be appropriate. Also, it's not about whether it's right or wrong. It's about appropriate versus inappropriate. We invited Kiki to the youth tent. We did not invite her to the pavilion, right? It is a different audience. It's about what's appropriate. Y'all get what I'm saying? And so there is a way to have that conversation, but I don't know of anyone being allowed a person not of our faith to preach something that is contrary to our denominational beliefs. I think that's a straw man. They're coming to sing. And the conversation about tongues can be a conversation about appropriate. What is our understanding? What is our teaching? And you can have that conversation, and some people will be conscious about it. But the idea that they're preaching their own belief is, I don't know if that's a phenomenon that is consistently happening that we need to be concerned about.
Yeah, and I've heard Seventh-day Adventists, prominent Adventist ministers, for 2 or 3 seconds, they mumble something while they're preaching in the moment, and it doesn't go viral. It does not go viral. I'm not going to call any names, but we pay them thousands of dollars to come preach at our churches, and we don't say anything when they slip up. But I'm just saying. I mean, it's interesting to me. I'm just baffled.
Yeah. It's one of those topics. People feel one way about it. Some people feel the other. I think there's a difference between preference and right and wrong. And I think we need to make sure we're not confusing the two. I think in any discussion, and also something that Ben was saying, I don't mind anyone expressing how they feel about something. It's always how you're expressing it.
Absolutely.
That I have the issue with. So, but yeah, guys, it's 7:18. Did you guys realize it was this late?
No.
So Tosh, let's be kind when we differ.
Let's be Christ-like.
Jesus didn't tell you to Bible bully anybody. He didn't tell you to do that. It's just to always show love to people. We know what we believe. We already know that. So if somebody says something for a few seconds, the lady apologized. I mean, we are so hardcore. Let's let kindness flow from us.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe, somebody will see light in us, and the ones will tell me about, Adventism. That's how the church grows from the light of Christ.
Yes.
We will have our differences, just respect each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, to me, the bottom line.
You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right.
We're fighting like
you're going to be all right.
line if certain things, like, really?
Just go outside, touch some grass. You're going to be okay.
Yes, we're gonna be. So anything that we haven't talked before we go, people in chat, is anything we haven't talked about regarding Camp Meeting? I know we mentioned the baptisms.
The
food was good.
I was going to say,
what was that little place?
Food.
Marlene, I'm glad you said that. I didn't want to break the ice. The food was good
this year, man.
Listen.
And look, Corey, I was upset that the shooter was causing us to have to leave the conference because I had like almost $30 left on my card to go.
I went over after I got the free and clear. I went over there.
Marlena, everything was half off Saturday night.
Listen, my daughter.
I was there. I got food.
I didn't
get that half off.
My daughter spent the last 2 years telling us she don't like eating scrambled eggs, and I don't know what something. Some people call it the Holy Ghost at camp meeting. Well, something happened to her at camp meeting, and now she come home like, I like eggs. I'm like, well, if the camp meeting chef could provide the eggs at home, it will save us a lot of stress and time.
Yes, the food at Conference Center 1 was delicious.
Hey, shout out to Chef Ramon.
Washington Patterson. Those were the best grits, and I'm from the South. Dude cooked those grits so much we had to preach about them.
Man, shout out to Washington Patterson, man.
Yes.
And Ramon Perez in the chat.
Yeah, man.
Thank you both.
We appreciate your ministry.
Yeah. We appreciate your ministry.
I was spoiled. Like I was like, I gotta go home and cook now.
I know.
That food was delicious, man.
Yeah.
Morning and evening.
But the baptism, like. Teenagers were baptized.
That's one.
There was a phenomenal sermon by Dr. Myron Edmonds, and the result of that sermon was an impromptu baptism at the pool. All of this information is on follow the Facebook page for Allegheny East. You can see it.
Yes.
AEC Youth Instagram page is there. I think that's what it's about. Like, let's highlight the good, the stuff that actually matters, man. It was phenomenal. I heard there was I heard the singles luncheon was cool.
Seniors luncheon was lit.
It was nice. I was there. I mean, I'm not saying I was just did a little icebreaker at the singles luncheon. But one of the things I got so tickled, one of the ladies pulled me aside and she was like, this is a nice women's brunch, but when will the men arrive?
It is singles, right?
We can't help that ratio. I mean, it always seems like it's going to be 80-20 or something. But I know one of the things Dr. Defoe is, I mean, he even put it out there, is looking for a way to build our singles ministries so that we do have more of a balance and, there is more male, female ratio being a little bit more evened out there. But it was nice. It was great. Food was great as well. And it was a great presentation. Associate Youth Director Deshaun Gray did a presentation there as well. So it was, and I wanted to shout out the seminar. Someone else said that. So many of you who just saw the morning and evening and the Sabbaths, during the week, there were seminars that were taking place on the campus, and they went along with whatever the verb of the day was. So like Monday was a communications day. So we were connect. So really, those who spoke, your days were based on what department chose that day of the week. So Corey, you ended up being connect, which was communications day, because that's our verb. And so the seminars that we did dealt with connection, how to listen. We did a book reading, book signing, which was awesome. So some of those will be uploaded to our website this week as well. So you can catch up with the seminars that you did not see streamed. So just want to make sure you guys were aware of that. Will there be housing next year for camp meeting? Oh, let me also put this out here, because I know we're talking about camp meeting. Everybody's like, oh, I'm going to be there next year. Well, next year is GC year.
Oh.
So unless something changes from how we normally handle this, prepare for 2026 because 2025 we typically will go and support the GC session, so we will not be having camp meeting as we traditionally like to, but make plans to be there in 2026 for sure. Yes, the team for the little ones was awesome.
Prison ministries,
Prison ministry.
Yeah, they had a summit there. That was really great.
The women's ministry breakfast, I heard was off the chain.
Okay.
I heard
was packed.
awesome.
Yes, it was nice though. It was really nice. All right. You guys are helping me out in the chat. I appreciate that. Listen, that just shows you there's so much that goes into camp meeting for those, technically it was 9 days this year. Some people were shouting out our transportation team. We also want to shout out those who got up early in the morning, 6 o'clock, walking, stretching, and exercising out there. That was great. So there's a little something for everyone. And those of you I ran into said, I've never done the 10 days. I say, consider it. Make plans to be there in 2026. I think you will enjoy it. There's truly something there for everyone. And it's nothing like being around the people. I think that's one of the things I enjoy the most. Go, whether you're just passing people on campus or sitting with people in the pavilion or eating in the cafeteria, you get to dialogue with so many interesting people, and you just have this sense of unity with them, whether they're new to camp meeting or they've been coming to every camp meeting like Sister Gloria Davis has. But yeah, it's just a great experience. You really can't put it into words. You just have to experience it. All right, guys. Well, we have definitely packed in 2 shows in one tonight. But I thank you guys for hopping on. And somebody mentioned this earlier. I can't let this go. I was driving up in my little cart to the tent, and I was like, I hear a voice that sounds so familiar singing. Who is that? And I was like, oh my goodness, it's GP.
Was GP singing? Yes. GP sang, didn't he? Yeah.
Listen, my assignment for camp meeting was to work in the fields in the sun. But when Pastor Marlena calls and says, I need you to sing, I will be like Superman and change and be right there.
Yo, GP, after you got done singing, they could have called for the benediction. I'm glad you sang.
I told him he would be on schedule every year. Come ready.
Yeah, it was great. Oh, yes. Thank you for mentioning the 50 plus banquet. That also was awesome. That happened on that Wednesday. That was also packed. The gym was packed.
Yeah.
People came in just for that. Buses of people coming in for the 50 plus banquet. And that was really nice.
It would be nice to have marriage seminars as well, too. That'd be
cool. Yes, I mentioned that today.
Yeah.
So there was this little mix up. I told you, I think I mentioned it last time, because on the schedule it said spouses seminar, but it was for pastoral spouses. But some couples were coming or thought that it was open to everyone. I felt so bad telling them that no, this is for. So I mentioned it to David, and we may see some of that coming in the future. But it's good to know what people want to see.
Well, and they do have a marriage retreat coming.
Yeah.
October.
I saw that.
October. Yep, yeah, October. I should know the dates. I think it's like 17th, but there's information on our website now. So there's something for the couples coming up just this fall. So sign up for that. Built to last marriage retreat.
Can I give a shout out to Camp Pitch Crew Pitch Group 2? Pitch Group 2. We worked our butts off, and we had a wonderful time serving the constituents, and we're grateful for the time that we had together.
Yes, indeed. I think I'm frozen, guys. Every time we go long, I get to this point where I freeze. I don't know what this is.
Yes, Sister Gloria, there were health seminars. Definitely.
Let me restart. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to come right back. You guys keep talking. That way we can successfully wrap up. And
has frozen.
Yes.
Frozen in time.
So there was a seminar on reversing diabetes. There were some other things that Dr. Theodore Watkins presented on. Health Ministries did a great job too, because they had a whole health cabin, a station. If you needed any medical assistance, you can just go to that cabin to get assistance. And so shout out to Dr. Anthony Medley, who was serving double duty with the Camp Pitch crew and also as the Health Ministries director.
Very nice. Very nice.
Question to Pastor Marlena and Corey. Would you guys like to see camp meeting in the different areas in rotation?
I've heard of that idea of regional camp meetings, and I think there's at some point there's going to be some innovation from some conference on a new design for camp meeting. I think there's a value to, and maybe it could be my born and bred AEC, the blood that runs through my veins, but I like the value of having a meeting place that is away from the city. I think the camp meeting was a chance to be a retreat.
Yeah.
And some people say that's separatist and that's wrong, but I think throughout scripture, there are seasons of retreating, of getting away for refreshing and renewal and revival. That has been consistent throughout the Bible, right? So I think there's some value to the people of God retreating or getting away. And that doesn't need to be full 10 days or 2 weekends. That can be a lot. That's a stress test on our churches, right? And on our, their work.
Like the 9 days.
So can I push back? Can I push back, Corey? And I love that.
Please do.
What if we all went to Baltimore, Philadelphia, Virginia Beach? The impact that we could make on that community, like for being there for that number of days. I mean, it makes a statement and makes an impact also. So there's an element of outreach that we miss out on being secluded in Pennsylvania.
Like a traveling convocation. 1 year.
Like that. Even if it's not full camp meeting, but
take out a hotel, have a ballroom, convention. That's big ideas. And I think, I will say this, GP and Marlene, I think that we are in the season for big ideas in general. Like we look at the numbers of, and I preach on this, like the decline in youth engagement, youth retention, and just the time that we are in. I feel like, and it's just me, we need big ideas in the church.
Yeah.
Stuff that is just, you never thought about. It's a risk. It's risky. We've never seen it. But I think across the board, man, I think there's a desire for big ideas. I think our people want big ideas. And like our churches want, just try something. You know what I'm saying? Just try and fail instead of just doing yourself to a slow death, right? Try something. So I think that's a big idea. I like the gathering, the coming together on the campgrounds. And that could be the nostalgic.
Yeah, it's special. It's special.
Right. But I think what you're talking about is a big idea. It's a big idea that does make a difference. It makes an impact. We need more big ideas, not just in our conference and in our churches, but across the country.
Yeah.
Right.
We got a new president, and so we got a lot to look forward to. He's
Yeah.
Marion, and I think we're going to see some big things.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get our new president on the upset. So you guys can talk to him and let's upset the fruit basket. Put him in the hot seat. No, not really. But no, I think he'll be happy to come on. All right, guys. Sorry I held you hostage there for a little while.
No, that was great. Great.
Okay, that's good. Sorry. Okay. But yeah, thank you guys. We missed being here last week, so we thought we'd, just put in a little extra time this week, but we will be back next week, and we have some interesting topics coming up. We talked about some of the generational clashes that can sometimes happen in our churches and just in general. So we're going to be talking about that. How can we do better with that? How can we learn to respect where everyone is coming from, old, young, in between? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about speaking in tongues. That was something that we saw a lot on our social media platforms and discussions. And so we're going to take a deep dive into it. And we're looking forward to that discussion. We invite you to come along and join us. That's happening this month. But we want to invite you to also in the chat. Are there other topics you want to see us cover on the upset? We want to talk about what you want to talk about. So if there's some topics you want to see us touch in the next few weeks, put them in the chat and we will read them and discuss how we can make that happen. We appreciate hearing from you. Yes,
I just want to shout out to Mike Williams. He is asking Delaware Valley to do a little mini camp meeting for our
Hope Fest
week.
Yeah,
so that's a great idea.
Take Hope Fest on the road. Do it.
Yeah.
It's the season for big ideas, man.
Yep.
Season for big ideas.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. Well, first of all, I want to put this comment up. I appreciate Corey's insight.
Appreciate you,
to have Corey here with us.
Yes.
we are home.
You know what you say when people haven't been to church?
Yeah, no more travel.
When people haven't been to church and they make them stand up. Oh, we're so happy.
Where you been?
We're not gonna do that to you, but I just wanted to shout that out. But yeah,
How to properly keep the Sabbath. That's interesting.
okay. How to properly keep the Sabbath. I like that topic.
I like that. I actually like that. That's good.
Okay, the vision of our new president. Okay.
Okay.
We can talk about that. How to encourage young people and millennials my age for innovative ministry.
Oh, nice. That's really good.
Yeah, because that's part of the retention. So yeah, keep them coming. Even if you watch this after we've gone off live, put them in the chat. We'll see them, and we'll create a list from them. I just wanted to say thank you, Rhonda. It was great seeing you, and thank you for spreading the word about the Upset Podcast. We exist because of you all out there who tune in every week and share. So we appreciate you doing that. Continue to do it, and keep the topics flowing. Keep the comments flowing. We appreciate all perspectives here.
Question: is Adventist education still relevant?
Ooh. Wow, Sister Carrie. Man, that's a good question.
And how to embrace transgender members?
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, we're ready to tackle it all.
And the LGBTQ plus, how to engage
the Jews are very secular with their Sabbath keeping. Should we do the same? So that's kind of a follow-up to how to properly keep the Sabbath.
Well, let me just say, I when I'm driving to church, I see people walking on the sidewalk every in the morning in my community, and there's no cars on the road.
Yeah,
because many of my neighbors and people in my community are observing the Sabbath. That's not very secular. So again, let's be careful with our rhetoric. Make sure it's actually accurate. And true. Because I mean, I know there are a lot of people in the community who do not.
They don't play. Yeah. Same thing in my mother-in-law in New Jersey. Yeah, they don't play.
Yeah, they don't play. So
all right. What are some of the big ideas? Okay, great. So like I said, keep them coming, guys. We appreciate you joining us this week. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. But until then, everybody have a great week. And don't forget to be kind.
Yes, be kind and drink your water.
Yes.
Drink your water. That's right.
Mind your business. All right.
Bye, guys. Blessed week.
Yes. Love you. See you next time.